bara kan hyra en bil och köra på fel sida av vägen, det är för mig ett under. Vi har i alla fall överlevt den här bilresan och är nu snart i Gloucester. Ingen aning hur det uttalas, men det är där som Carl Hester har sitt place och ja, det är lite pirrigt. Jag känner mig lite nervös, men det ska bli så kul. Så kul! So it's a real honor to be here with you, Carl Hester, and thank you for the opportunity to visit your great farm.
Yeah, well, you're welcome. I'm sorry it's such a terrible day for you. I mean, as you can see, we had storms in the night, and you know we're surrounded by woods here, and we've had trees coming down and leaves everywhere, and my fields are all flooded. It's the first day of winter here, really.
Okay, but in Sweden we think it's like this
this
all the time. Yeah, so we're not.
This is like our summer. Yeah, it's not really.
So I have to ask you, do you have like a big idol? It doesn't have to be a idol in horse riding. Who's your biggest idol?
Well, that's quite an interesting question, actually. I know they're not very popular, but for me, politicians are probably the most have the most difficult job. And you know, everyone wants your country to run well. And I recently just met our local MP, so he came to see me, and I have to say I was full of admiration for him because, you know, I realise what a great job they're doing for us, and fighting for each area wherever you might be living in. So, I mean, they're not my idols, but I mean, they are people I admire, and it's something, really, I only just discovered how difficult a job it is well, I mean, we all know it must be difficult to run a country, but I mean, you know, it's the little people that all bring it together. So, yeah, in those sort of terms, as a job, that would be difficult. I mean, sporting heroes. I mean, I have to say, I watched Andy Murray win the tennis tournament last night, the ATP. Amazing, and I mean, that is just, you know, like his fitness that has taken him to being #1 in the world. And I think because, you know, we have lacked a tennis star for so long. So I actually, last night, I thought, that's my idol, because, I mean, he got himself so fit to win this championship, and it was a wonderful win for us. So, yeah, I think the country's celebrating today.
Yeah. So I just wanted to know how it's for me to stand here, because you are my idol. Oh. So this is such a good day for me. And I have to ask you, if you want to be a team of Carl Hester, if you want to be a student, what do you think is when you take students, what's the big, great thing they have to do to? What do you think is important?
Well, you know, this, I mean, you can see behind me is our yard. It's not very big, it's 18 horses. So, first of all, you have to be nice. So, this is my home. Yeah. You know, that's how I feel. This is not, for me, this isn't like a business. This is my pleasure that Charlotte and I ride here. And because it's my home, I want people here that appreciate it's my home. And that smile every morning, and yeah, make me feel happy as well. And then I'm happy to teach them. I love helping people that need help, that appreciate help. I love doing that. But yeah, because it's my home, I just want a nice family atmosphere here. It's not a big commercial place, and the horses are cared for very individual. You know, I have like 4 or 5 people working here with only 18 horses, so we give a lot of care individually to each horse. So nothing must be rushed. You know, must be able to take your time. It's not like, you know, I want people to feel like, you know, there's another day. You know, it's just a question really of having a nice relaxed atmosphere so that we can enjoy working the horses, and the horses enjoy being worked as well.
So if I treat this well, maybe I can give you a call and come over here.
Well, you're being very nice to me. So far you're being very nice to me. So yeah.
So I have a little chance.
Well, you know, there are lots of people that probably would like to come here, and you know, it's an honour that they do want to come here. But it's very difficult because I have such a small yard, and so it's very rare. You know, when people do come here as students, you know, they tend to stay for several years. So I never know when they're going to leave, like anything. You know, suddenly people grow up and they want to go, and it's sometimes a shock, but then suddenly you have to find someone, and it's not always the right person available. But I always say to people, well, send your CV here, and then if we ever have anything, then, you know, then we get in touch.
So I'm like 40, And what do you think about when you're like me in 40 and a happy amateur rider?
Yeah.
Is there a chance to be a good rider or a world champion rider?
Well,
do I have any chance?
Yeah, you do have a chance, because there are stories where that has happened.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the story that I remember the most, and she's a great friend of mine, is Annie MacDonald Hall. And some people might remember her. She was, in fact, my first teammate when I first got on the team in 1990. And Annie had been a bunny girl in a nightclub, and her husband won a horse in a game of poker. And so Annie started riding at 35 years old. I mean, she was an amateur rider anyway, and then she got interested in dressage, and there she was in 1990 riding on the World Games, and she really learned how to ride. I mean, she had a lovely horse as well. I mean, the horse was a wonderful schoolmaster to help her, but it just showed, you know, she dedicated herself to training. She moved to Holland, because in those days, you know, it really was normal for British riders to have to go and train abroad. So, and she gave up a lot of her life to do that. Yeah. I don't recommend it. I don't know if you're married or have a family, or, I mean, you know, you are giving up a lot to follow a dream to become a professional rider. Yeah. But yeah, it's possible.
It's never too late.
No, it's not too late. No.
But what do you think is 3 good qualities if you want to be a good rider?
Well, I mean, balance, really. You have to have balance, and if you don't have balance, then you can learn balance by being lunged and riding without stirrups. I mean, we know where it all starts. It's not comfortable, but it's not supposed to be painful, but it's not comfortable when you have to learn to balance. You know, I was very lucky to be brought up in an age where we all rode bareback, and you
and a donkey.
Yeah, on a donkey. But I mean, a lot of friends I talked to of my age did the same thing. It was quite normal.
Yeah. Okay.
But riding like that taught you balance from a very young age. So balance, because when you ride a horse, you have to be. The second quality is you have to be patient, because when you ride a horse, you have to be balanced. Then you can be patient, so that, you know, that's the training and how many years it takes. It's amazing when somebody says they want to teach their horse a flying change on Monday, and then on Friday the horse still can't do a flying change, and then they are not patient anymore because they think the horse should learn it. But we all have to understand, you know, it's a period of years to train a horse, not months. So that's a long process, so you have to have the patience. And I think thirdly, to be a really top rider, you need to have some presence as well. You know, like horses, we expect horses to have presence. And I mean, a rider has to sit in a beautiful way that is lovely to watch, easy to watch, the way they carry themselves and the way they expect their horse to carry themselves. You know, and that presence creates the finished picture, which should be a harmonious one. Yeah.
So I have one more question to go. It's like, when you do your training for the week, you know, everyone, like not the professional riders, we always wonder, how do you think of a good week of training for your horses? How do you do that?
The program, like what we do in a week.
So do you ride like 4 times a week?
Yeah, we
or
ride 4 times a week. So we ride on a Monday and a Tuesday, and then Wednesday our horses just go hacking. We've got some hills around here, and to be honest, I mean, for horses now to be able to cope with indoor shows, I mean, you know, with Stockholm coming out, everyone will know it's a big atmosphere. It's easy when you sit in the crowd to not realise that the atmosphere that you create for horses. So I think it's really important that they go out and see the world twice a week. So they go around the roads and they have to appreciate everything, cars and bins and children and bikes and all sorts of things. And I also think it's very good for their learning. So that's why Charlotte and I ride for 2 days, then we give them a day hacking or a day easy, then we ride for 2 days, Thursday, Friday, and then they go hacking and have another day like out in the countryside on a Saturday, and Sundays they just go in the field. So it's quite a nice life, it's a nice job, and it's I think that's a great way to bring them up like that. People think it's a little bit strange that you can train a horse to Grand Prix maybe only 4 days, but we're still doing fitness. They're having an easy day on a Wednesday and an easy day on a Saturday, but they also do fitness work as well with water treadmills and going up and down the hills. So it is a question of building them up, and they do more work as they get towards Grand Prix, so they're strong enough for it. But also, if anybody didn't realise, you can't make any money from riding horses. So, you know, Charlotte and I have to have like other days where we can go and teach and do clinics, and you know, because this is our passion, and it might just about pay for itself, but it doesn't pay for us to have a lifestyle. So that's why, you know, we also have to have time to go and have proper jobs.
That reminds me, because I wonder, like when you ride, you always have those ups and downs. Do you ever have those downs?
Oh yeah. I mean, that's why we tend to we do some demonstrations here at home so people can come and see what happens at home, because I think when you always see the finished product, so if we're at a show and everyone sees you doing a lovely Grand Prix, they just presume your horse was always lovely and always nice and just became Grand Prix. But you know, we have the same problems as you and everybody else, you know, with young horses, where they can be difficult, where sometimes they just plateau and they stay like that for a few months and then they suddenly get better again. And sometimes they just don't feel very nice when they're young for maybe 1 or 2 years. But the difference is that we can just ignore them and leave them at home and let them develop and grow up and not worry about the pressures of competing, because I think that's really what makes people have downs, because they go out, they get judged, things don't go very well, they might sometimes think the horse isn't good enough, but very often it's just not ready. So I think that, you know, we experience that, but we experience that at home, so we don't have to be seen in public. And you have some medals you can look at and remember that you... Yeah, oh yeah. But no, I mean, but listen, I mean, as everybody knows, I didn't get my first medal till 2009. I'd already been riding 20 years. So, you know, or competing internationally for 20 years. So it was patience. I didn't think it might happen, but it did happen, and but it took 20 years before things started to get better. I had to learn a lot.
Okay, thank you so much.
That's a pleasure.